the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Tonight on your news at 9, details on how a shooting in D.C. led to 2 separate arrests this week. We'll have the details. And taking the blame, why Southwest Airlines say they failed to prevent the incident that caused thousands of flight cancellations. And later, tuning in to the big game, we're seeing how people are celebrating and what they have to say about heading into work tomorrow.
And it's a cold and raw evening tonight on Super Bowl Sunday, but things are going to dramatically improve as we head into Monday. We'll talk temperatures and beyond with the full 7-day forecast coming up.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for DC News Now at 9. I'm Michaela Newton. And developing now, we're learning more about an officer-involved shooting that led to multiple arrests in Southeast D.C. on Friday. Shooting happened early Friday morning with officers responding to an assault in progress on Good Hope Road. Now, police say that while searching the area for the suspect, an officer found a suspicious person, 38-year-old Stephen Shaw, entering a car and was shot at while trying to stop him. That officer shot back, hitting Shaw, and while being treated, Shaw was found with cocaine and was charged with intent to distribute. The assault suspect, 59-year-old Wallace Lewis, was arrested and charged later that same day. And in Prince George's County, police are investigating a homicide that left 1 dead on Friday evening. Police say that they responded to a call of a shooting on Swan Road in Suitland. There, they found 19-year-old Talonzo Stefan Rhodes, and he was declared dead at the scene. Now, investigators are still looking into possible suspects. Well, new tonight, a plane and a passenger shuttle bus collide at a major U.S. airport. Plus, another unidentified object is shot down over North American airspace. DC News Now's Joseph Olmo is tracking those headlines.
Hey there, take a look at this. Federal officials are investigating tonight after a collision between a shuttle bus and an American Airlines passenger plane that was being towed at LAX International Airport. Now, the plane itself didn't have any passengers on board. It's an Airbus A321, but the shuttle bus did as it was transporting people between terminals. All in all, 5 people were injured, 4 of them taken to the hospital. The FAA confirming to DC News Now they are investigating. Well, it's happened again. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced yesterday that he gave the green light for U.S. fighter jets to shoot down an unidentified flying object that was soaring over the northern Canadian sky. So here's what we know. This is now the second case of an unknown object being shot down over North America in the course of just 2 days. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, we all know it as NORAD, first detected this flying object at a high altitude on Friday night. It was over Alaska. Then yesterday it crossed into Canadian airspace. You'll remember on Friday, the U.S. shot down a different object that posed a threat to civilian flights over Alaska. And of course, all of this coming less than a week after the Air Force shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina. Pentagon officials say the U.S. is still recovering the pieces after shooting that Chinese balloon down. As you can see in those photos there, they have already gathered extensive information about it so far. So expect some more updates in the coming weeks on that. For more on all these stories, head to DCNewsNow.com. In the studio, I'm Joseph Olmo. Back to you.
All right, Joseph, thanks so much. And we're learning that a third unidentified object has been shot down over North America. U.S. officials say that the object was shot down over Lake Huron by the Air Force and National Guard earlier today. Well, this just comes a day after news of another unidentified flying object was shot down over northern Canada. But we will bring you more updates as we learn more. Well, President Biden says Social Security and Medicare are under threat from Republicans, but Republicans say that's not true. So are the critical programs really at risk of being cut? Washington correspondent Hannah Brandt digs into the debate.
President Biden traveled down to the Sunshine State to deliver a heated attack.
The very idea the senator from Florida wants to put Social Security and Medicare in the chopping block every 5 years, I find to be somewhat outrageous.
He's a complete liar.
But the president says he's got proof.
12-point American Rescue Plan.
Reading right from Senator Scott's proposal.
All federal legislation such that's every 5 years. If the law is worth keeping, the Congress can pass it all over again.
But Senator Scott argues the president is mischaracterizing his plan.
In my plan, I also said Congress ought to tell the American public how they're going to preserve them, because what we know right now is both Medicare and Social Security are going bankrupt.
Senator Scott tells me the goal of his proposal is to protect essential programs like Social Security and Medicare by forcing Congress to reduce federal spending in other places.
If you want to save Medicare and Social Security, which I want to do, get rid of the waste.
And Republicans, including Senator Scott, say they won't raise the debt ceiling until Congress agrees to spending cuts
In a responsible manner to balance our budget.
Democrat Senator Tim Kaine says they should raise the debt limit, then discuss cuts separately.
The right way to negotiate about spending is in the budget, not threatening to default on our credit card bill.
But Senator Scott insists they do both at the same time.
To make sure we preserve Medicare and Social Security, and we figure out how to get our fiscal house in order.
In Washington, I'm Hannah Brandt.
Well, developing now in West Virginia, retirement funds for many public employees are being placed with so-called socially responsible companies. But the move is not sitting well with West Virginia State Treasurer. Environmentalists are encouraging state investment managers to place pension funds with companies like green energy firms. They're also suggesting officials to not invest in fossil fuels like coal and gas, and Treasurer Riley Moore is pushing back on these mandates.
But you know what's making money right now? The energy sector is making a lot of money. We have seen those stocks going through the roof. But if you're into ESG and that investment strategy, you cannot invest in those.
And Moore says he's working with state officials across the country to protect pension fund investments in companies that create jobs in their states. Scott?
All right, let's take a look at our live camera outside right now. And you can see here at Reagan National Airport, there's a couple planes landing, a couple taking off. Visibility's improved a little bit. It's not raining quite as hard as what it was just a little while ago when visibility seemed to be lower and there seemed to be more fog around. Winter weather advisory still in effect for the Blue Ridge Mountains until the midnight hour, so 3 more hours roughly of that, as there's still some freezing rain out that way. But again, the majority of the folks out there this afternoon and tonight have not seen freezing rain or snow for that matter. Instead, it's been rainfall. And can you see here the last 24 hours, bucket and a quarter here, inch and a quarter worth of rainfall in Fredericksburg, about a half an inch at Lexington Park, a little over 3/4 of an inch at D.C. and around Waldorf as well, only about a 100th of an inch at Annapolis, and about 2/3 of an inch around the Leesburg area. So places I would say, in south of I-64 and I-66 picked up the most amount of rain. Further north and west, as you can see, just a trace up in Hagerstown, only 1400s in Martinsburg. Here's the latest satellite radar perspective. You can see that wave of rain moving in as our coastal storm continues to move from southwest to northeast, paralleling the coast. Again, a lot of rain here and freezing rain embedded within that as well, and some snow. Although snow hasn't been that great, but still some out towards the west. Will this trend continue into your Monday, or will we get a break and see some rays of sunshine? Stick around for that answer coming up.
All right, Scott, thanks so much. Still to come after the break, hundreds of political prisoners from Nicaragua are now in Washington, D.C. We'll tell you why and what comes next for them. And later, how comfortable are you with people carrying guns without you knowing? We're seeing what people have to say about the spread of concealed carry permits right here in the DMV.